Every restaurant has to start somewhere, and in the case of Panera, that was St. Louis. But did you know that when it was founded, it wasn't even called Panera? Here's what it was like to eat at the original location. In 1987, no one had heard of Panera Bread, the soup and salad staple with famously chill vibes and even more famous mac and cheese, had just opened, and it was called St. Louis Bread Company. Now, Panera is the place where you can get the perfect balance of half soup salad and half sandwich, but it started from a passion for sourdough. After Ken Rosenthal visited the European-style bakeries in San Francisco, famous for their sourdough, he came back to Missouri with $150,000 of his own money and an equally sized small business loan to start his bakery. On the East Coast, other key players in Panera's rise were dipping their toes into bakeries as well. Ron Shaich and Louis Kane would eventually buy the St. Louis Bread Co. in 1993 and turn it into the Panera we know today. At the time, Shaich merged his downtown Boston cookie shop, The Cookie Jar, with Kane's Au Bon Pain and started selling homemade soups and sandwiches made on fresh baguettes. With an eye toward the future, Shaich and Kane transformed St. Louis Bread Company into one of the first fast casual restaurants. As Shaich said to The New Yorker, people wanted food they felt good about, explaining, basically they wanted to feel respected by their food. And what fast food had become was a commodity. It had become nutritional cocaine. Panera began with a mission to give people healthy, clean food and an engaging environment. The same mission prevails across more than 2,000 locations. 19 stores were going by the name St. Louis Bread Company in Missouri when Ron Shaich and Louis Kane bought the shops in 1993 and renamed the brand Panera a few years later. They wanted to rename the brand because market research revealed that people identify St. Louis with Clydesdale horses and beer. Shaich told The Washington Post, "St. Louis Bread Company probably wasn't the name we wanted to take to Portland, Oregon, or Portland, Maine. We wanted a name that was an empty vessel we could put personality into." Panera comes from the Latin word for breadbasket. However, the original store kept the name St. Louis Bread Company, and many locals still refuse to call it Panera. To people who live in St. Louis County, it will always be Bread Company. Walk into a Panera today and you'll see warm woods and pale green walls, deep oranges and hazy lighting. The overall vibe is cozy, giving the impression of a place you want to dig into and relax. But the original St. Louis Bread Company was very different. Shaich told The Washington Post that the original store had lots of tile, Tiffany lamps, and bread cases everywhere. The original vibe was far from cozy. Instead, it felt more like a Dunkin' Donuts, somewhere you go to quickly get your bread and head out. Not somewhere you'd be happy to hang out for hours. There was very little seating, and what was there were small circular tables and stiff wooden chairs. The lighting felt harsh, and your words would echo against all that tile. While Panera sells much more than sourdough today, Ken Rosenthal's original starter still has its fingers in all of the sourdough you can buy at Panera stores. The company uses a 36-year-old mother dough originally created from what Rosenthal learned while touring San Franciscan sourdough bakeries. Also consistent is the freshness of the bread. Every Panera bread bakes its bread fresh each morning. Back in 1987, that meant Ken Rosenthal was getting up at 2 a.m. to start baking, as he explained in the news segment A Hard Day's Night 6 months after opening the first St. Louis Bread Company.
I actually enjoy it. You have to change your life, you have to change the things that you do.
With more than 2,000 stores now, that means a ton of bread is being baked every day. To combat unnecessary food waste, Panera started a day-end donation program in 2017 that has all stores donate leftover baked goods to local nonprofits like soup kitchens, after-school programs, and low-income elderly housing. Shaich and Kane bought Rosenthal's bakery in 1993 and sold Au Bon Pain to focus on Panera. They saw a space open for a new kind of lunch crowd, one that didn't have the time for sit-down restaurant meals, but wanted something healthier and more wholesome than fast food was offering. So a big part of Panera's focus became using good ingredients to create filling and healthy food. As Shaich explained to The Washington Post, it was for people who wanted to feel better about their food and who were willing to pay a little bit more for something that was worth a lot more. The brand has stayed consistent with that mission. In 2015, it dropped a long list of additives like artificial sweeteners, colors, and flavors, as well as preservatives from its menu. This list of ingredients became known to the company as the no-no list. Panera's popular You Pick 2 menu option has always been around, but at the 1987 store, there were only 3 salad options and 8 sandwich options. You could choose between a Greek, healthy choice, or Caesar salad. And for sandwiches, you could have turkey, premium smoked ham and cheese, roast beef, Italian salami, albacore tuna salad, veggie, grilled breast of chicken, or chicken salad. The soups were a little different. You could get French onion soup any day and choose between 3 to 4 soups offered daily. Among those soups were chicken with wild rice, vegetarian lentil, chicken noodle, and broccoli with cheese. Today, of course, there are far more options. You can still get a ham sandwich at Panera, but you can also get a smokehouse barbecue chicken sandwich or a green goddess caprese melt. Now there are 21 sandwiches on the menu, as well as new pick-two options like grain bowls and pizza.
Is this heaven?
Better. It's a Panera.
Panera's mac and cheese is pretty famous and has inspired many copycat recipes, but the original St. Louis bread company didn't have mac and cheese on its menu. In fact, there was no pasta at all. While Panera Bread has expanded its menu options, the original St. Louis bread company was pretty strictly a bakery and deli that offered soups, salads, sandwiches, pastries, and bread. Overall, the menu was much more simple. Today, the mac and cheese is an iconic Panera menu item, so much so that it's sold in grocery stores all over the nation and has been the basis for some interesting Panera mashups. The mac and cheese's iconic status has even led to some controversy. In 2019, a viral TikTok video posted by a Panera worker revealed how the mac and cheese is made in store. Some customers were shocked to see that Panera's mac and cheese comes in frozen, single-serve packages that get heated up, cut open, and poured on a plate. Yet many others defended Panera's process, which lets the mac and cheese be made in bulk without preservatives and served up consistently cheesy and smooth across the United States. The broccoli and cheddar soup is another iconic menu item that has found its way into grocery stores and Panera mashups. However, at the original restaurant in 1987, you probably wouldn't get exactly the same Panera broccoli cheddar soup. According to the old menu, the soup in the original restaurant was called broccoli cheese soup. It was also only available on Mondays through Thursdays. Lucky for the original customers, though, you could still get any soup in a sourdough bread bowl.
We both have so much in common. We both love soup.
It's probably unsurprising that the prices in 1987 were lower than they are now given inflation. At the original store, you could get a You-Pick-Two for only $5. A full-size sandwich cost between $3.50 and $4.50. And if you wanted to go extra fancy with a combo sandwich, one that had 2 or more meats, you'd pay $5.90. The prices today are of course much different. Now if you want a full-size sandwich, the price has doubled. But these prices are actually about the same, or in some cases lower, when accounting for inflation. A $4.50 ham sandwich in 1987 would cost around $12.50 today, but Panera's deli ham sandwich runs around the $10 mark today. Panera nowadays is well known for its drinks, and those drinks include lots of coffee. But back in the day, the original store had a thing for espresso. There's a whole section on the old menu for espresso and espresso-based drinks.
I need an espresso.
The store served regular hot coffee too, but that was lumped together with the sodas, juices, and chocolate milk on the beverages menu. Cappuccinos, cafe americanos, lattes, mochas, and of course, just straight up espresso were all options on the first menu. The store described espresso as a classic. This rich, dark roast brings out the best of the coffee bean. These are all still options on Panera's espresso bar, which is just one of many sections in the beverage category. But the restaurant has followed America's trend towards sweet coffee. The sweetest latte on the 1987 menu was the Latte Royale, which was simply a latte topped with whipped cream. Today's menu boasts sweet treats like the Cinnamon Crunch Latte, a chocolate latte, and an iced caramel latte. Only a few restaurant chains are known just as well for their drinks as for their food. Sonic is one of them, and Panera is another. Since 1987, Panera has vastly expanded its beverage options. On the original menu, besides coffee, you could order the typical drinks like Coke products, juice, hot chocolate, milk, tea, and a couple of special root beers. Today, Panera Bread still serves the typical fountain sodas, but true drink lovers come to Panera for sips like passion fruit papaya green tea, agave lemonade, and a range of delicious smoothies. The drinks are so popular that Panera started an unlimited sip club in 2022. While it's not widely known, almost all Panera locations now play only classical music or smooth jazz. As classical music blogger Tim Haslett discovered, this is a deliberate choice. The director of public relations told him that a concept creative team works with a vendor to establish an appropriate list of music for Panera cafes. According to some cafe managers Hazlitt spoke to, customers generally love the music because it creates a calm environment for studying, relaxing, or talking with friends. All of this makes sense when you remember that Ron Shaich and Louis Kane designed Panera to give customers an affordable but comfortable experience that felt more special than fast food. Of course, none of that branding existed before the duo took over in 1993. For the first several years of its life, St. Louis Bread Company didn't have a special sound. Another thing that helps make Panera feel special compared to fast food like McDonald's or Chipotle is that your food is served on real dishware. Wharton management professor Lawrence Rabiniak told Knowledge at Wharton that dishware is just one more element that Panera utilizes to create a welcoming environment. Of course, it wasn't always that way. When St. Louis Bread Company first started, there wasn't nearly as much attention paid to creating a feeling of warmth. The original store was your average bakery, though a bakery with amazing sourdough and delicious soups and sandwiches. It wasn't until Shaich and Kane bought the chain in 1993 that a team of experts set out to make Panera have a very specific and very recognizable feel. Lots of things went into that branding, including the logo and upholstery colors. But the dishes came at a crucial time. According to Knowledge at Wharton, at the beginning of the recession between 2007 and 2009, Panera decided to invest even more in the company. That is when they rolled out new dishware for dine-in customers, as well as new smoothies and new signature recipes. And it worked out. Shaich said, "In the middle of a recession, our salad business was up 30%. While so many businesses and restaurants in particular struggled during the tough economic time, Panera thrived. It's an impressive feat given the humble beginnings of this famously cozy sandwich restaurant."